Today we're going to take a look at one of my favorite things living out here in the country, and that's having my old International 460 tractor that I've had for, I bet you 25, 26 years, and this tractor was built in 1959. It's plowed a lot of snow for me with the blade on the back in the winter before I got sophisticated and got a plow truck with a heated cab, and it pulls a big brush hog around so I can keep the brush and tall grass cleaned up on the outside perimeter of our yard. So stick around if you want to see me get this thing set up for summer use by getting the chains off, the blade off, getting the brush hog on, and first of all, before all of that, with a new battery in here, getting the generator polarized. Let's get started. First thing we're going to do for our summer prep is get these chains off. Very useful in the winter going up and down that steep, slippery driveway, but no good in the yard. Get all full of mud and tear everything up. And I have to say right from the start, it's a lot easier to take these chains off in the summer than it is to put them back on in the fall. Getting them off is pretty easy. This happens to be positioned a little low right now the way the tractor's parked, but there are just some locks on the chain. Unlock one side, go to the other side, and unlock that. Pull the chain back up over the tire. Drop it down on the floor, off to the side. When I get the tractor started, just back it up off of this end, pull them off to the side, and store them for the summer. The battery I had in here finally gave out. It was a few years old and not getting used very often. The batteries don't tend to hold up very well, and a lot of the use this gets is in the winter when it's cold cranking, so just have to expect replacing a battery periodically in a tractor. So I'm going to hook the negative terminal up on this, and then we're going to go around and we're going to polarize the generator. As the ground cable is attached, and I have the positive lead from a set of jumper cables attached to the positive connection on the battery, and it's strung along to the front, and we'll head over there and take a look at the next step. Storing all the leftover siding material hasn't given me a lot of room to work in here. Maybe if I finally get this car going and got it out of here, I'd have a little more room. Anyway, jumper cable is run to the front. I have the ground clamp just looped over the positive end to keep it out of the way so they don't touch. And then what you have to do with a generator on an old tractor like this is you have to polarize the generator in order for it to put out power to charge the battery and run the tractor. If you don't do that, you're just going to drain the battery down. And I'm going to be touching that positive lead on the jumper cable to this positive connection on the generator, and that will polarize it. Here we go. We should get a little spark, and generator should be polarized, able to put out power. Well, now we'll get the tractor started. See what we've got. It's been a while since I've had this running, so it's going to take a couple of cranks to do that. Get some fuel back in the system. Make sure that we are in neutral. A little bit of throttle. Get the choke out. Power on. Hit the starter. thing on the meter. Well, there we are, ready for action. I would have to say that that's a pretty good startup for something that's almost as old as I am, and that's been gotten a lot of rough use as well, and been sitting here all winter with no battery in it. We are ready now for the next steps. I can get that other chain off, get the blade off and parked, tarp over the top of that, and get that brush hog on. Now, you have probably noticed I got some pans underneath here, catch pans. There is a leak in these quick couples here for the hydraulic. I have to replace those. I haven't been able to find a rebuild kit. And I've got some oil leaking out of the engine where the gaskets are just simply so old they're dried out. And I'm going to have to order a gasket kit, but I'm going to work on all of that once I get my workshop set up and heated, and I can do that in the wintertime. Here's another case where I wish I would have been doing YouTube videos a few years ago. When I first got this tractor, I had to split it and put brand new clutches in, put it back together. And that's when I had a gravel floor in this shed yet. Believe me, that was an interesting task. And I had to remove the top case of what they call the coffin cover on these. And I had to replace a couple of shifter forks at one point. And I was doing that just as winter was coming on. And that was kind of interesting to do. And some of the bolts were frozen, so that was quite a challenge. I wish I'd have gotten that all on video for you. But there will be more things done to this tractor going forward, like replacing these quick connects, doing some other work on it, replacing that seals, and I'll get that captured on video and share it with you when I do it. And I actually do have a little bit of short video on changing those shifting forks in here. I started to video that, and then I just quit doing it because I didn't figure I needed the video record. What we're looking at today is an International Harvester 460 utility tractor. What we're going to do is try to fix the transmission, because what we have is a broken shift finger for low gear and reverse. Quite a bit of work involved to get to that, and that's what we're going to be covering in this video. First thing we'll have to do is take this entire cover off of the transmission, which requires taking the seat, the battery, and the hydraulic lines off to free up access to the cover. All the hydraulic lines, the seat, battery box, battery, a few linkages, all of that stuff has been removed. I didn't show the removal of those items because I guess, to be blunt, if you don't know how to take that stuff off, you probably shouldn't be tinkering with a transmission. So the next step is going to be to try to lift that cover off. The bolts are out, and there were a couple of broken bolts I had to grind down. So I'm going to next try to get that off with an engine lift. Next step for summer prep is to get this 8-foot blade off the 3-point, get it parked. I don't have room for it in the shed, unfortunately, because I only have a 30 by 70 foot shed. But anyway, that aside, I've got to get this parked over in a little spot I have next to the fence line and get a tarp on it, and then we can go ahead and put the brush hog on. Cleared some weeds away. Got a couple of blocks sitting here, treated lumber. I'm just going to back up and set the edge of the blade on those. Okay, I've got backed up here, frame sitting on a couple of cement blocks to keep it the right height, and the drawbars are level, pretty much straight on with the tractor. So I have to now release the tension ouch, on the center bar. I can get that off. Stow that away on the adjuster. Pull these pins out. Got one bar loose. I can drive the tractor away. Get the other bar off. I'll take this with me when I need it on the brush hog. With everything released and free, I can start the tractor up and pull away, come back later and throw a tarp on this, and we'll be all set. The brush hog gets stored in the shed in the wintertime. I can't put that outside even with a tarp. Wouldn't hold up. I've picked it up from someone used, and I have done a little touch-up painting on it. Someday I plan to strip it and completely repaint it. I had to replace a couple seals in the gearbox and do a couple other minor things to it. And to store it, I keep it on a 4x4 spread across a couple of these wheel dollies you put underneath a vehicle if you want to store it and be able to push it around in your shed. Works out really well. It's a pretty handy setup. It rolls easily. You can almost push it with 2 fingers. Having the brush hog on rollers makes the job of installing this a lot easier than getting that off of the blade. I can pull these out a little ways to give myself some slack. I'll try to get them over the end of that pin. There. Put the pins and washers on to hold them in place. Now, if I've got things lined up correctly, I should be able to push those drawbars in and lock them. And they are. Now I just have to hook this bar up. I got to give it a little slack. Now we have to connect this bar. I can't quite reach, so what I'm going to do is start the tractor, pick this up just a hair, get that 4x4 out of there, let it down enough that I can reach it and get that bolt through there. I've got one of the tires chocked so I can put the tractor in neutral, start it up, raise this up just a little bit to get that carrier assembly out from underneath, let it down a little bit, and then I can get this hooked up. We're all connected. I just have to hook up the PTO drive shaft, get this leveled and adjusted so it picks properly so I can transport it, and we will be ready to do some brush hogging. Now, before I get comments on this, I know there is no guard on that PTO drive shaft. When I bought this, the guard was completely shot and off of here. Now it's just me using it. There's nobody else around here. So I know enough to stay away from it. And one of these days I'm going to buy a brand new cover and put it on here, and then we'll be regulation. For now, I just have to be really careful. I got this bar adjusted so it's snug, and I can pick this up for transport, and it's set so the brush hog, when it's lowered into position with that back wheel, is pretty level. Pins are all set. So we are ready to start doing some brush hogging. And believe me, I've got some stuff that needs it around here. Hasn't been touched, and it's middle of July. If you enjoyed this video on working with the old tractor and getting it ready for summer, or if you've seen our other videos and enjoyed those, well then please consider clicking like and subscribing to our channel so you're notified when we have new videos about a variety of topics. I appreciate your time today watching this video, and until next time, take care and enjoy your projects.